I always felt like you channeled that celebrity, that popularity. Leaf fans loved the way you played and your whole journey being a 7th overall pick, Team Canada player, and a guy who finally came up. When you came up, you made a big impact. We all remember, Hockey Night and Don Cherry bringing you on the show and all that kind of stuff. Was that actually the case? I mean, did playing in a city like Toronto and what it represents, did that somehow kind of boost your game and motivate you that much more?
Well, I think it did. I mean, it takes a special type of player to play in a market like Toronto and to succeed in a market like Toronto. So, I think, I was able to kind of put the distractions aside and focus on what I really had to do. I mean, not saying it was all, rainbows and butterflies all the time. There were some hard times that you really, had some self-doubt and had to battle through adversity. But, I was always, pretty mentally tough and able to, just move forward.
Naz, I was a Toronto kid. I played here 4 years. I was traded away. I found those next couple of days quite difficult. You had a bit of an idea that a trade might be coming. You'd been talking to the organization previously to the trade to Colorado. Just what the last couple of days have been like for you personally on an emotional level, your family, your parents, who you took great pride in representing the Toronto Maple Leafs, wearing that jersey. What's it been like kind of knowing that's not going to happen anymore?
It's hard for sure. It was an emotional time, and the last few days were it was a bit overwhelming because I'd only been traded once before my entire career, and that was in junior, and I was being traded to my hometown team, so it didn't even feel like a trade. So this is something that was out of my comfort zone, but that being said, moving on to an organization like Colorado and seeing their future and seeing the players that I could be paired up with, certainly makes it, it's never going to be easy, but certainly makes it easier.
With Nazem Kadri, when Tavares signed here last summer, did you think this could be a possibility at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I always, being here 10 years, it's not the first time I ever heard my name come up in trade talks, and, I never really let that bother me, or, I kind of, just tried to brush it aside every time I heard something like that, but I really started to get the notion that it might become serious in the last, week or two, so I tried to just mentally prepare myself, but, emotionally, my heart's with Toronto, and, I've been here for so long that, it's hard to say goodbye, but I'm being put in a fortunate situation, and Joe Sakic and the Avalanche have a great thing going on over there. So, hopefully we'll see the Buds in the finals.
Well done, nicely done. Now, you are in Colorado now. Can you just walk us through the logistics? I think you had a 10-team no trade list, widely rumored, deal with Calgary and whether that went through or not. When do you put in your list of 10 teams that you don't want to be traded to? Is that done in the fall, or does the team ask you just when they start entertaining the offers? Like, how do you exercise that right?
Well, I mean, you just try to take as much time as you need and, basically, feel out signings. And, it's tough with the RFAs and the UFA situation to, ballpark the salary caps, but you do the best you can. And, you try to submit your list every year before July 1st. And, really try to strategize to give yourself the best opportunity if you decide to move on, or to maybe make it as difficult as possible to be moved, because ultimately this is the place that I wanted to stay. But like I said, I submitted my list. Colorado was a place that I could definitely see myself in, and I'm excited for the future.
With Nazem Kadri, you're going to step in there and play a big role. Joe Sakic was asked about your history here in Toronto, and specifically, we know your rap sheet, if we can call it that, the suspensions and what's happened the past 2 springs against Boston. He had a pretty good line. He said, as long as we don't play Boston, you're going to be fine in the playoffs.
He'd probably be happy to play Boston in the playoffs.
That means you're in the Cup final, exactly. But
exactly.
What was it about, the Bruins? Was it the Bruins in particular in your history? You were on that team in 13, obviously, in Game 7, and we all know you scored. I think you scored the 4-1 goal, to be honest. But take us through, the suspensions and how it got to that point.
I mean, well, I'll always, you guys know I'm what type of player I am, and I have my heart on my sleeve, and I'm a heart and soul guy, which and I play on the edge, and I play with a lot of passion and emotion. And, sometimes that can get the best of you, but obviously, I like to stand up for my teammates, and I'll do anything for my team. Looking back on it, obviously I wish it could have went a lot different. Because I did feel like I had, a serious impact in that series, prior to what happened. But it's just one of those things, man, where you just get too passionate, and I want to protect my teammates and stand up for them. And it just was an unfortunate situation, but I don't think that had anything to do with my future in Toronto.
So now that you are heading down to Colorado, a decade now as you've been here, what's your reflective moments? What are you going to take away from your time as a Toronto Maple Leaf?
You guys might be on the phone for a while if I get into that. But like you said, man, it's a decade. That's a long time. Toronto's always going to be somewhere that's home for me and close to my heart. But time goes on, and this is a sport where business comes before that sort of thing. So I understand there's no hard feelings, but just watching the team evolve, being on it for years, seeing the players coming in and out, the managers, the coaches, where we were in the cellar to where we are now. I think it's pretty remarkable. All the outdoor games, playoff series. It's it's endless good memories, and something I'm always going to cherish.
So you're going to a good team, man. Like Colorado, they're a good team.
You got to step on the bike work, Naz. You know what that thin air is like when you play out there. Right. You better be ready.
What's that
going to
be like?
I think it's going to be fun. That's, like I said, that's obviously a few days after I'd heard, it was very difficult for me, but then it started to resonate and sink in, and I started thinking about the positives and just Colorado's organization and how highly they spoke of me with Joe Sakic and Jared behind the bench. They're beyond excited to have me, and ultimately at the end of the day, it feels good to be wanted, and I'm going to give them everything I have, and they know that.
When John Tavares arrived, you did what you were asked to do and did it as willingly as you could. Was play third line center, different role, different opportunity, ice time, all that. You're coming off of 2 30-goal seasons in a row, and they brought in a guy who kind of bumped you down the roster. How difficult was that, and how excited are you now to go to Colorado, where you're very likely to be back as a top 2 centerman playing the kind of quality ice you had the previous couple of years?
Definitely. I mean, that's I think that's where I belong, and where most people think I belong. But I just they did what they had to do. If a player like JT was on the market and you had the ability to acquire a talent like that, I mean that's kind of a no-brainer. So I got like I said, I got no hard feelings. JT's my guy. I wish him and the team the best of success, and I'm always going to be watching and rooting for him. But at the end of the day, if you don't win, things have to change, and they definitely did.
You guys are going to be rolling through Toronto pretty early into the season.
Do you know the day? You must know the day.
Oh, December 4th.
I love it.
December 4th, back
Nice.
at Scotiabank.
Nice.
Would you, if you could pick, I'm sure you'd rather both, but if you could pick one to get a huge reaction out of the crowd, because it's going to be all about you when you come back here, would you rather score a goal that night or throw a monster hit mid-ice?
You know what, man? That's a tough one. It depends who I'm lining up. If it's like Mitch coming through the middle or something, I'm definitely gonna, try to give him a little shoulder. But no, I'll definitely take the goals. And like I said, it's gonna be an emotional time for me to come back. And that's not something I've experienced a lot in my career. But this is new territory for me. So, like I said, I'm always one to adapt and adjust to new situations. And this is just another one of those things.